Some topsoil is arriving. Local supplier. Here we go. 5 tons. It's about, I don't know, 3.5 cubic meters. Nice stuff. Nice stuff. Well, hello garden lovers. What a beautiful day. Wow. September. It's an Indian summer, I think they call it. Look at it, it's just gorgeous. And it's set like this for the next week or so, which is perfect because remember that list I wrote down? Well, it's all more of a mental list actually. Well, I am implementing it. So I've got some topsoil that's turned up and I want to put the topsoil in. I don't know any gardeners who actually go to the gym. You know, do you really need to go to the gym when you've got 5 tons of topsoil just delivered? You've got to do a load of weeding, you've got to move a load of plants, you've got more plants coming, you've got umpteen jobs to do. I think it keeps you quite fit, really, gardening. Obviously, I mean, you don't get a physique like this, you know what I mean, without getting stuck into the garden every now and then. But it's really, yeah, the garden's looking lovely. I went off to a perennial nursery yesterday, Arvensis, which has sort of spurred me on, you know, looking at their fabulous perennials, and I'm just thinking, well, I've got to get some of those in my garden, I've got to make space for them. If you look closely behind me, which is why I'm wandering off into quite a distance really, there's quite a few weeds. Yes, Joe Swift has weeds. You can call it rewilding these days. You get away with it, just say it's good for wildlife. But obviously before I put the topsoil in, oh, I found myself in the woodland. Look, this medlar. This medlar has got so much fruit on it, really fruiting well this year, which is surprising because it's been really dry. Now you want to let those blet, which means get a little bit frosted. I guess it brings out the sugars in them or something. And yes, this year, Mark Diacono, I'm going to make your medlar, sticky medlar toffee pudding. I'm going to make it and then I'll report back. I'll give you a review on the recipe. Anyway, I digress. The woodland I want to deal with, I need to cut that back and rake all the grass off it. But today, I'm going to get this topsoil in. There's areas where I need to weed the whole garden first really, especially where the topsoil's going. There's an area here that is particularly low. Yeah, it's a little bit embarrassing, this bit. You'll be shocked at the sight of that. Those are poppy seedlings. So you can see where the poppies were. They were all through here, and I let them seed, and I've learnt my lesson, but this area is actually coming up with topsoil. So the whole thing's going to come up by about, I don't know, about 200 mil. I'm sort of building it up to this wall. So I'm going to weed those out first. I'm just going to hoe them out really. They're annuals, and then I'm going to cover them all with soil because, yeah, they'll die off underneath there. I'm going to shift a few plants as well, like these salvias, because they've performed incredibly. Salvia caradonna, it's a classic. They've performed beautifully this year, but they're going to be buried if I leave them at that level. And there's also these iris as well, which I'm going to lift out. So I'm going to clear this whole area out and then bring the topsoil in. There's a lot of weeding to do between everything. Don't look too closely. I've been busy. There's the topsoil, 5 tons, which doesn't look like it's going to go that far. I reckon I need 10 cubic meters. I think that's about 3.5, 4 cubic meters. So I might need 3 loads of that to do what I want to do. Anyway, enough chat. This really is a day to just get cracking on it. I just want to show you that, yeah, these poppy seeds might look a little embarrassing to me that is, but actually they hoe out really easily. I mean, it's so easy to hoe them out. And because the ground is lovely and soft at this time of year, it's just a joy to garden it, really. You know, it's been so hot and dry all summer. Oh, it's been just a nightmare. So I'm just going to hoe them like that, and then I'm going to just get the wire rake on it and rake them up as best I can, barrow them away and chuck them in a pile somewhere. I feel one of those sort of time-lapse things coming on. There will always be seedlings in here, which is lovely, and then when they grow I'll just thin them out in spring like I did last spring. But yeah, maybe I've learned a lesson not to let all of them self-seed around, or just get them a little bit earlier, but they're not a problem. They're just annuals after all. But this weather really energizes one, you know. It just makes you feel great. Get out in the garden, get stuck in. This is the time of year when you really want to put the work in, frankly, and it's the time I've got at home a bit more. So if you can put the work in the late summer into the autumn, things like the weeding and, you know, mulching and planting and all that sort of stuff, then the less work it will be and the better the garden will be next year. You know, this year was so dry so early that if you can get your plants in the autumn, it's a much better idea, basically. Plan was to just weed over that area where the wheelbarrow is, to get rid of the poppies and any weeds, any annual weeds, but I just sort of got stuck into weeding, and those speeded up shots from the bedroom window upstairs, a bit arty, don't you think? That's about 3 hours weeding I've done, because once I got going I couldn't stop. And it's not just annual weeds. I mean, poppies, they're not weeds, but they are in this case, because they're everywhere, and there'll be loads that come back next year, and I need to be a bit more vigilant with them. But there's also some bindweed in there. Oh yeah. So as you start digging down, following a strand of bindweed down, you know, you get those white roots. And so I got the fork out and started digging down a little bit. Now, I don't want to dig too deep, because it's not a no-dig garden whatsoever, but I don't want to break the soil structure too much. So I'm not going to dig the whole thing over to like a fork's depth. I'm just flicking it over a little bit, and if I have to follow a root down, I'll dig that up and get rid of it. Before, I was literally just pulling out the bindweed from the top and digging it out a little bit. Tomorrow, I will be filling these areas up. Look, I've done, look that there, right there. I've done 2 wheelbarrows just to check my wheelbarrow run. And tomorrow I'll be soiling up, as they say, getting all my levels sorted, getting that 5 tons of topsoil in. It's still nice and dry, it hasn't rained. It would be a bit of a nightmare if it had. But yeah, so but I feel really good. I feel really good that I've weeded that properly. It really needed it. There's no cosmetic, you know, approach to this garden. It's my garden. I'm going to do it properly. If I need to spend time on something, I need to spend time on it. And actually, weeding is very therapeutic. Okay, so next morning, right. That's the pile of topsoil. That was 5 tons. I reckon I shifted about 2.5 tons this morning. This is real sweat, this is. This isn't just a healthy glow, you know. Yeah, so I shifted about 2.5 tons of that over onto this bed. I did just give it a little once over as well, this bed. Always spot a few weeds the next morning. But yeah, look at all those gaps. All those gaps. That's what's all going to be planted. So if I go around here, you can see where half of that topsoil went. There you go. It's right up to the top of the wall. So it's right up to the top of the wall here at the back. I've trodden it all down lightly, because it's going to sink in time anyway. There'll be a bit of displacement when I plant. So, you know, if a 2 litre pot, say, goes in, I'll be taking 2 litres out, and then I'm going to mulch all of it over, the whole thing over, with compost as well. But I've pretty much gone with the contours and basically just matched it, brought it down to where the existing planting was, so that I don't have to, well, I don't want to lift it all up. And once that's all planted, you won't really notice that slope at all. Let's just have a little look from back here, because what I really like is the way it comes up to this wall, up to the water here. So it now sits, that really sits beautifully in there. The light's gone in just at the wrong time. Yeah, so I can have some planting in front of there. I'm going to put the iris back in. It might be temporarily, but the iris is going to go back in for now. And also the Salvia caradonna that I dug up yesterday, it was so hot and dry yesterday that they started wilting quite badly. So look what I've done. Well, that's an astrantia. That one's an astrantia, which I dug up, but the rest of them are salvias. Yeah, and I've got the perfect use, look at that, for the fire pit in the winter. Just fill it up with water. I didn't have a bucket to hand, filled it up because I thought they'd get through overnight without wilting. But last night I came out just to have a little check, and anyway, they've really picked up since, which is good. Lesson learned there. Also, I can't finish this end off. You can see it's a little bit of a mess. Basically, this is when Craig, Justin and Alan, it was a very long day putting the bird bath in, building this wall, and basically we all gave up at about 6:30 and went down the pub and then had a curry. But you can see that yellow line, that's where I'm going to finish it off, and then I can just bring the soil. I mean, it's a lot steeper on this side than the other side, so I need to plant that up to stop the soil. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not all going to collapse or anything, so it's going to be absolutely fine. But yeah, pretty pleased with that. And also, while I'm here, I've chucked a little bit of soil at the bottom of this wall as well, because there's gaps all the way along here. So I've just thrown a little bit of soil in there. It'll be something very shallow rooted, probably the Mexican fleabane, erigeron. But the idea also is now, when you're seated on this side of the wall, the planting will be sort of towering over your head a little bit. And so, yeah, the whole point, little recap, why not? The whole point is really that from the house, we're going to have planting, so you don't see all that furniture, which I think clutters a garden up. So it's something to think about. And from here, again, there's going to be a lot of planting all the way along there. Finger out of focus, but planting all the way along there, so you don't see any of that seating really, and it all blends in beautifully with the landscape. While I'm here, let's take a few steps back to one of my favourite views. As you can hear from the car noise, it's quite near the road. Look at this, is lovely really. So that's Gaura whirling butterflies. That's Calamagrostis brachytricha. There's some agastache in there and some echinacea. More, and then look at that. So that is a really beautiful combo. I know I started this on my Instagram, but it's going on my YouTube as well. So there's the, where's my finger? There's the Gaura. That's Miscanthus graziella, and next to it is Panacetum, that little low one. That one there is Panacetum hamelm, and it's just lovely the way it crosses over that path there. And honestly, I mean, the morning light, when it gets backlit in the morning light, it's just fabulous. It's around, what is it, around 12:30 now. So it holds the light, and then as the sun goes down, it catches the light again from the other side. It's absolutely stunning, isn't it? There's 3 plants in there. There were 3 2-litre plants went in this summer, and it's just a lovely wispiness. Someone was asking me about that actually, saying, You know, they want to keep that rather than just keeping it like a big bulky plant. Well, the only way to do that is split it every few years. If I zoom in, you can sort of see there's some separation in the plants, in the actual plants there. There's a bit of separation, which gives it a sort of lightness, which is lovely. Okay, well, it's a few days on from that last soil shifting session. It absolutely chucked it down last night. Seriously windy, very windy day. The weather's changed, but it's going to dry out again. But I need to shift that topsoil, and the bulk of it's going to be going in here. That blue standpipe is for some water, of which we've run under the path for a garden tap. So yeah, it's going to go in that low section there. I'm going to clean it out a little bit. And it's actually quite a prominent, look at the weeds through here. In fact, don't look at the weeds through here. That's all got to be dealt with. Got a lot of work ahead of me. But yes, this is quite a prominent position. Well, not for the topsoil, but for whatever's going to go there, because obviously this path is sort of drawing the eye all the way through there. I'm reconditioning the beech hedge behind there, which is sort of blocking off the car parky bit, but to put something right in there. And I've been deliberating it, and I will keep deliberating it. I think I'm just going to plant like a block of Filaria and Gustifolia, which I've been using on various jobs, and it clips really well, and it doesn't seem to matter what soil you've got. It's a tough old plant. It's in the olive family, but it's like a matte green leaf. Anyway, we'll get onto that a bit later. I think I'm just going to plant a block of it and then think about shaping it up later or what to do. I mean, it's obvious, it's an obvious sort of place for a pot, a big pot or a piece of sculpture or something. But anyway, this is the sort of thing I think about as I drive around the UK and go to sleep. It's morning, it's time for a bit of a workout. I've had my breakfast, let's burn off some energy. It's nice stuff. It's called screened topsoil. So it's been to a sieve basically, 10 mil sieve. And yeah, if I grab a lump of it, it sort of holds together nicely, which means it retains moisture, but it also crumbles. So it's quite loamy. There's a sort of good mix between clay and sand, and not too much organic matter. There's a bit of organic matter in there, but I'll be mulching all the areas over, which will add some organic matter later. This topsoil is from a local supplier who I really like to use. I got my sand from there, get my gravels from there. I got the self-binding gravel for the paths from them as well. It's really nice to use local suppliers if you can. There's some national suppliers that'll do all this stuff, but it just means it's been shifted all over the country, you know. Right, so that has taken me half an hour, pretty much exactly. I know it looks very fast on the film because it's called speeding it up. And also you probably think that I have a team of people filling my wheelbarrow for me and I'm just doing the bit of barrowing it in and tipping it up. No, I do all my stunts myself, I've got to say. And I was thinking while I was doing this, shall I do a little thing on how I shovel? I don't want to teach my granny to suck eggs. That is a really strange expression, isn't it? I don't know where it comes from. I'll have to Google that later, or maybe you could write in. Teach your granny to suck eggs. Weird one. Anyway, bit about wheelbarrowing, shoveling. I use a builder's wheelbarrow. Nice and agile. You can get around corners, you can move around. You know, there's wheelbarrows with 2 wheels or big balls on them and stuff, sort of more for gardening. But this with a pneumatic tyre, so it's got an inner tube in there, you pump it up, and you get a nice bit of bounce on it and you can maneuver around really quickly, really nicely. So I always use one of these, and so, sorry if you've done a lot of shoveling in your time. I have done absolutely loads of it, and actually I like it. I find it quite meditative. But sometimes you see people, you know, new people on site, or you know, people are having a go shoveling, all wrong. So it's really important where you place your wheelbarrow, okay? The topsoil, by the way, has been poured onto some ply here, which makes it much easier to shovel off, and it keeps the ground cleaner underneath, but I have to clean it up anyway. But put it this way, if you want to make a cup of tea, I think this is probably the time to go off and make a cup of tea and then come back, because this is sort of Joe's advanced shoveling and wheelbarrowing techniques here. So yeah, it's where you place it, because ergonomically you want to be able to just almost drop it in there, you know, even from in the ground. I see people going in there and they're sort of struggling that way, or they're twisting their back and, you know, doing themselves a mischief and all that. So place it right there and then start at the top of the pile, and you're like working your way down in layers, and you're literally just throwing the shovel in there. Make sure it's a nice sharp shovel. Another thing, this is a shovel, it's not a spade, so it's got curved sides, so it's designed to hold material. And just with one, excuse the pun, swift action, you're just dropping it in there really. And then when you get to the bottom bit, you're just scraping it off the ground. Use your legs, and that is it. Well, some of you might find that interesting. Others might be coming back with their cup of tea. So here's another area that I've just weeded out and put a couple of barrows of topsoil in there. Yes, I know the downpipe is going to get sorted. But anyway, this is all going to get planted up. There was a couple of old climbers in there, honeysuckle and lots of weeds. Now people are really scared of planting right up to the house because of damp-proof courses and things like that. Anyway, there's no damp in the house. I've actually dropped the soil level a tiny bit, so I know there's no issue with that. It's a very old house. But if you've got a damp-proof course, then you should be able to spot it on brickwork, and you want to keep 150 mil, about 6 inches below that, and then you'll be absolutely fine. But from a design point of view, you know, these areas need softening. You know, I love planting up to the house because it actually brings the house into the landscape. It sort of softens the corners. I've done it around here. There's obviously lots more plants going in there, but these corners and planting around the house is what sits the house into the landscape and softens all those harsh areas, and connects it also to the planting beyond, and from inside creates that lovely foreground through the windows. So I know, because a lot of clients are like, oh no, I don't want plants going up to the house, you know, but that is just a fantastic opportunity for some, I don't know, sarcococca, winter scented plants. And anyway, I'm thinking about that. Right, now it's time for a quick tidy up. And rather than using a broom all the time, if the debris is dry and light, or I want to push a bit of soil back into the beds, I use a leaf blower, battery powered, and give it the once over. Well, it's now chucking it down. I'm hiding behind a tree. It's just a quick shower. But yeah, you can see I haven't got very far to go with this run. It's just round the corner, but I've got further to go, well, with other bits and pieces. And this is the first load of topsoil. So it's very satisfying bringing that level up there. And along that front edge there, I'm going to be bringing gravel up higher to meet it. So it's all sort of flush eventually through here, which would be nice. Especially for the more elderly folk who come and visit, who are a bit nervous about the levels. That's it for today. Well, over a few days that was filmed. Continuity with the shirts and all that. Thanks for watching. Now, my road is going to be closed apparently for maybe up to a month, which is going to be interesting, which means that plant deliveries is going to be very tricky on lorries. So I'm going to have to suss that all out before getting any deliveries. That might all have to be delayed going into November, which is fine planting wise. And I've ordered a load of bulbs as well, which I'll talk about. but obviously the perennials and any shrubs and stuff have got to go in first. I'm going to go to some tree nurseries, have a look at trees, want to get some trees in. Thank you so much for the feedback on that Arvensis film, Arvensis and Derry Watkins' Fabulous Garden. Yes, Derry Watkins' garden is only open on a Tuesday, but the nursery is open Monday to Friday, I think, so check details. So hope that came across okay, but thanks for the feedback, really positive, loving the response. Appreciate anyone who's got the time to sort of, you know, comment on it, and yeah, it spurs me on, I gotta say. And I'll take my camera with me when I do look at trees. And oh yes, talking about trees, the next film will probably be the tree surgeons. George Hyde will be coming in with his guys, thinning out some of the trees in the woodland, taking out some dead wood, and some quite major interventions, but all really positive stuff. So that's quite exciting, I've got to say. And also I'm going to plug our podcast again, and it's changed its name. We are now the James and Joe Garden Show. You can find it on, you know, Spotify and Apple and all that stuff, and it's myself and James Alexander Sinclair just having fun, basically. It's gardening banter, and then we also do questions and answers at the end. So if you've got any sort of questions, and no dead plants and no dull questions, if you listen to one or two of them, you'll get the hang of it. It's all very light-hearted, but you can send your questions in and we'll answer them. Anyway, enough rambling. I'm always saying that to myself. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time with the tree surgeons. Exciting.